say, Nolans, laissez les bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. They don't need many reasons to have a party down here, but 56 wins and a division championship. Reason to celebrate. The New Orleans Hornets hosting a playoff game for the first time since 2004. Next to the Superdome just seconds ago inside New Orleans Arena, the banner revealed for a surprise Southwest Division championship. Clearly the best story of this NBA regular season. The New Orleans Hornets, now the second season begins. They're the number 2 seed, taking on the 7 seed Dallas Mavericks in the opening round best-of-7 Western Conference playoffs. The Lakers and Nuggets start tomorrow. The Jazz and Rockets next here on ESPN. What a game in San Antonio that ended a short time ago on ABC. And our game now, Mike Tirico, Hall of Famer Hubie Brown, ready to roll with a series that a lot of people think the 7 seed is going to beat the 2 seed. We turn to the coach for the keys for both sides here tonight.
Well, in the 2 previous games, Mike played with Dallas in this building. Chris Paul is averaging over 30 points and 12 assists. Can he continue to solve the changing defenses? The pressure is on the Hornets bench. They're being outscored 44-22. They must make a contribution. On the Dallas side, Nowitzki must shoot a high percentage and then come in 23-25 in every game if they're going to steal one in this building.
Remember, they won 67 games last year. Dallas out in the first round as a top seed to the Golden State Warriors. Our starting lineups: Jason Kidd, Jerry Stackhouse back from the groin injury, Dirk Nowitzki, Josh Howard, and Eric Dampier. For the Hornets, Chris Paul makes his playoff debut with Morris Peterson. David West never started a playoff game. Same true for Tyson Chandler and Peja Stojakovic. Third member of our team, a good evening to Lisa Salter.
Well, Mike, when the Hornets first ran out here on the floor, I said to Chris Paul, we're just moments away from your first playoff game ever. What's going through your mind? And he said that I'm ready. Let's play. Byron Scott told us earlier today that he would have some words of encouragement for his young point guard before he takes the floor. He said, at first, I'm going to keep it lighthearted. I'm going to say, young man, go and have fun. This is the biggest stage, but go out there and make sure you enjoy it. And he said, the last thing I'm going to tell him, be aggressive. He's our leader, and as long as he's aggressive, we feel like we have a chance in this series.
And that's the big question. Will he be as effective as he was in an MVP caliber season? The officials assigned by the NBA, veteran Dick Bavetta, Sean Corbin, and Joe Forte take the 3. They have now 400 games of playoff experience. Hornets in the white, Mavs in the blue. The top teams in the league, the best players in the world, the game's ultimate prize, 16 wins away. Cleveland and San Antonio already have 1 win. Game 1 of what figures to be a long one. Dallas, New Orleans, with the playoffs underway for these teams.
Well, Dallas is going to put a lot of pressure on you with Jason Kidd off the dribble. And this guy, you must get to him early, otherwise he's going to get off big.
Nowitzki with the first basket, 2-0 Mavericks. This is a New Orleans team that set a franchise record with 56 wins, 30 of them coming in this building where they drew about 8,000 at the start of the year. Now they sell it out, and it's a big home court advantage. Stojakovic a miss, but a reset. Peterson from the corner. Bo Pete's off the mark, and the great rebounding guard kid kept it alive for Stackhouse. You see the Mavs, 51-31 in the West, had to sprint towards the end, but they are in the playoffs for the 8th consecutive year, 14th time in franchise history. Dirk is 2 for 2.
What we mean by getting close to Nowitzki, you've got to get up into him so that if he dribbles towards half court. Now, early on, Dallas was in a 3-2 zone.
Chris Paul, who was out here 3 hours before tip and was struggling with his shot. Knocked that first one down, and on the throwaway, Paul to Peja for 3. Stojakovic is throwing up 2 air balls. Let's try to keep it alive, but it'll be Mavericks ball.
If you have not watched New Orleans during the season, they are a big 3-point shooting team. They shoot a high percentage, and you have to remember now that with Stojakovic out there, as well as Chris Paul and then Mo Peterson, they have some guys who can shoot a high percentage.
Jason Kidd, who recorded his 100th triple-double in the Wednesday win over New Orleans, gets it to Josh Howard, who knocks down that shot. Career highs for Josh Howard, but he did not play his best basketball down the stretch. There's Paul. Rimmed it out, but Tyson Chandler does a lot of that. Back tap, offensive rebounding. He's the best in the league at the offensive boards. All-star David West slapped by Nowitzki out of bounds off Dirk. 15 to shoot for the home team.
Mike, this is a good matchup right here. Can Nowitzki stay out of foul trouble guarding West? West must challenge him and not settle for the jump shots.
Peterson, a 2. Morris Peterson, when he scores, Hubie, this team has success. Nowitzki on the run out. Hard foul by West. And Durkin shoots some free throws as he's grabbing at his arm as he put his arms down to brace his fall. Of course, Nowitzki coming off the left ankle injury.
Well, the defender was definitely going for the block. And then because of him being a very smart offensive player, Dirk had the forearm out there to kind of ward off the contact, but he did take a nasty spill into the stanchion.
I saw him grabbing at that wrist before the free throw. He misses that. Lisa, what about that left ankle that kept him out 4 games?
Well, we asked Dirk about it this morning, and he said it's as good as it's going to get. Really, the only thing that's going to make it better is rest. But it's important to note that he tried to go without that brace that he's wearing on that left ankle during the last game on Wednesday, but he said it just didn't go so well. It wasn't comfortable. The ankle is still pretty sore. That's why he's now back to wearing that ankle brace.
Spent some time in a hyperbaric chamber to speed up the healing process. He said while he was in there, he watched the movies Dodgeball and Zoolander. He said, I got dumber while I was in there. He also got healthier. Zoolander is one of the worst movies ever. West, off the mark. 2 of 7 from the field in the early going are the Hornets.
Now, the value of a Jason Kidd is he's constantly pushing the basketball on a make or a miss.
Stackhouse, who missed 7 games with a groin strain, returned to the lineup Wednesday in that Dallas home win over the Hornets. West again off the mark. So West has missed a couple. Stojakovic has missed a couple as well.
Now you're looking at New Orleans and you're saying, boy, on the early going, they're taking a lot of jump shots. Well, they are 29th in the league in foul shot attempts, so that is their game.
Off the Stackhouse miss, Paul with the push. The guy who's going to finish 1, 2, or 3 in the MVP race to Chandler. And that's what they have done so well all year.
They catch you. This young man reads as well as anyone in traffic, Mike. And Chandler, that is his #1 object, to get the ball to him. Because Chandler's man is trying to help out on Chris Paul from a defensive standpoint.
Stackhouse. He's missed a couple in a row. Dampier couldn't. Chandler gets the board.
Well, in the early going, Mike, both teams are getting easy shots.
Chandler couldn't go up and get it. And the foul was called on the Mavericks. And Stackhouse as he was reaching in. The first alley-oop connected.
Now just keep an eye in the middle of the floor. You're seeing Chandler come down. Well, you say, wow, he was wide open. The reason he was open is because Dampier was over trying to help out on Chris Paul coming down on the right side of the lane. And that's what to look for.
Paul, a little show and go on Kidd. Tried to take it away from Dampier, but could not. And Kidd, who loves to push, Nowitzki flying off the wing. How often do we see him close out like that in his MVP season last year?
Well, in the early going, Mike, we're seeing Nowitzki running the lane perfect, whether he's leaving early or what. But the big thing is as long as West stays outside, then Nowitzki can change ends a lot quicker.
Nowitzki has it going on the offensive end. West has missed all 3 outside shots, and it goes out of bounds to Dallas.
Now keep an eye now. Look up on the right-hand side of your thing. See, now you don't even see West in the picture. He's been out here 3 times, but that's the benefit of Jason Kidd. You'll always run as a big man if you know the guy with the ball will give it up.
Nowitzki behind the arc. Off on a 3, and Stojakovic goes to get it. It'll be interesting as the series goes on. Will Kidd post Chris Paul on the offensive end? Will Paul's speed be too much for Jason?
Plenty of time here.
West on Nowitzki, with Kidd helping. 0 for 4 for the All-Star David West out of Xavier.
Yeah, he can't give up on his shot, Mike. He can't give up on his dribble. Keep the dribble, run a spin move, but stop giving him the same move.
Nowitzki, that typical fading fire is off the mark. He's missed a couple of shots. Numbers for the Hornets. To Chandler. Nowitzki came back and blocked it, and there you see the value of Chris Paul.
Look out here.
Paul's alley-oop would have been right on the mark. That one wasn't. Dampier inside. on Peterson, and the foul is called on Mo Pete.
Mike, intelligent basketball. Anytime that you're running a break and your center is being played by a small guard or a small forward, look for him in the post. And I like the recognition. They all called it out, and they went right into Gampier. Now, Gampier he's known as a very poor foul shooter, so you know that you're not going to let him dunk the basketball, foul him, and send him to the line.
58% this year, misses the first. The series between these teams, a split, the home team winning each game, but the Mavs have dominated this series. There was a 21-game win streak by Dallas over New Orleans until the Hornets won earlier this year, and 13 straight in Texas over the Hornets franchise. So very important, as always, to protect home court. And if you watch the game on ESPN from Cleveland or the game from San Antonio on ABC, you are reminded essentially 4 out of 5 times the winner of Game 1 wins a best-of-7 series. And that percentage gets even higher if the home team wins Game 1. West, 1 for 5.
Once again, Chris Paul off the dribble. Nothing organized. He just comes down, he plays the screen and roll, and if it's nothing is there, he'll drive that baseline, and he's uncanny and picking out open people.
Howard comes baseline, lost it. Paul has numbers. It is a 4-on-2 for the Hornets. Stojakovic.
Now, if you're a purist, you want a layup in that situation, 4-on-2. But this team will stop on a dime, take the 15 to 18-footer, but a lot of times Stojakovic will run behind the three-point line.
10 to shoot, Nowitzki off to a good start. 3 of 5 from the field. Missed his last couple. Chandler goes up to get it, and again, a push by Paul. Oh, what a move in the open floor, and a foul is called. Timeout. Paul free throws coming after the break. All tied at 10. Here's what Byron Scott, coach of the Hornets, told his team in the locker room before Game 1 of this series.
All year long, they've been doubting us. Playoff come, they're going to doubt us again. There's no difference. But what we do is we go out there and we play the way we've been playing all season long. The only difference is the intensity level is higher. The stakes are higher. So we got to play better. We got to play 4 great games, that's all.
Back here in New Orleans, a good start to the game, all tied at 10. The New Orleans Hornets, one of the feel-good stories in the NBA this year, and a terrific regular season, in part because of the turnaround. Still splitting time in Oklahoma City after Hurricane Katrina. The Hornets had a good year last year, 39 and 43. But look how each column changed this year. From 39 wins to the second-best turnaround in the league, 56 wins. Second in the league, just a game behind the Lakers. 30 wins and a real home court advantage, and outscoring their opponents by 5 per game. Give me so much of it, second only to Boston in a turnaround, has to do with Byron Scott's point guard, Chris Paul, really emerging as a star in this league.
Well, the offense is guard dominated, and it's also point guard, where he's involved in so many screen and rolls, and then the liberty to break a play and just take off. He's so unselfish, he'll give it to you in traffic. Now, if you have not seen him play this year, he had 20 points, okay? He averaged 20 points and 15 rebounds 11 times this year. The next, assists, right. The next closest guy was Baron Davis 3 times. That shows you how he dominated the guard play.
It was unbelievable. Nowitzki continues his hot start. He is 4 of 7 from the field, 9 of the Mavericks' 12 points. No changes at the timeout. Same 10 that started the game. West, nice move inside. Good defense by Howard to come over and get it. And Kidd pushes the other way.
Now Dallas has improved their overall defense. They do a very good job in shooting percentage, three-point shooting against, and also in fewest points. When you gave that differential, Mike, of 5.3, that's 6th best in the league. So they are doing a good job at the one end of the floor.
Joe Forte said it was a kick. He's consulting with Sean Corbin. I didn't think it was a kick. Let's see. No, it was off the hand. The foot was in there. And a good job by these veteran officials getting together and getting the call right.
Well, we have an excellent group out here today, representing the referees.
400 playoff games combined. 68 years of experience, 33 of those years of experience belonging to Dick Pavetta. West posting on Nowitzki. Double comes, the rotation to Morris Peterson. That's a shot that's going to be there during the series.
Anytime that West posts up in there, they're giving a quick double team with Jason Kidd.
And a great feed after the steal by Kidd to Josh Howard puts the Mavs up 3.
He's an unselfish player, no doubt about it. He could have taken that in and laid it up, but what does he do? He rewards the people, the guys who play up front for him.
First Hornets turnover of the game. Both of these teams take good care of the ball. They're in the top 5 in fewest assists in the turnovers in the league. This figures to be a well-played series.
If you notice now, they're gone to West now 3 times. The double team was quick, and it was Jason Kidd. Get the ball out of his hands.
Kidd is pushing it really, really well.
It is a clear out. Anytime that Stojakovic gets Josh Howard in a one-on-one situation, you notice Dallas clears out, and they're giving him a highway to get to the rim.
First on Peja, third on the team. Our first subs come in as Jason Terry checks in for the Mavs, and Brandon Bass. He will be important in this series. Bass, a former Hornet with this organization the last couple of years, and that guy will be very key in the series. Gennaro Pargo, who's going to be the first guard off the bench for Byron Scott. Pargo checks in for Morris Peterson, and he will help defensively as well with the speed matchup. Howard, a right-hand runner for 2.
If Jason Kidd posts up Chris Paul, you know that's a major advantage. Well, they are running off of Josh Howard, using Stojakovic to double team. Well, you know Howard is not a three-point shooter. He'll dribble the ball inside the line, but then you got to play him for that short 18-foot jump shot.
Pargo can heat up from the outside. He misses Chandler the offensive rebound. We mentioned he was the best in that category in the NBA this season. 4.3 per. That who stops the 6-0 Dallas run.
Well, he's been a bear early on here, Mike, on the offensive glass. He's knocked 3 balls back out that were recovered by the Hornets, and then he's had 2 uncontested rebounds.
Bass, he will be big in this series. 3rd year out of LSU. He's from the state of Louisiana, makes his playoff debut here tonight, and knocks down his first shot. Three seconds on Tyson Chandler. He said, I came out of the lane, but Dick Pavetta says, no, it'll be Dallas ball after this timeout. 2:55 left in the first. It is Saturday night in New Orleans. That means Bourbon Street will be slightly more crowded and a little dirtier in about 6 hours. Dallas by 5.
Out balance. There were so many exciting things, but I give San Antonio credit. They never gave up on themselves when they fell behind big in that first half, and they just worked their way back into that game. Now that is a dagger in the heart for Phoenix.
How about the 3 by Duncan, the 28th 3 of his career, playoffs and regular season, to keep the game going. San Antonio wins game 1, game 2 of that series coming up during the week. Nowitzki stumbles on West. The shot's off the mark. He looks okay, but it's an advantage for the Hornets.
Oh, you got to go to him. Oh, see, right there, that was a bad mistake. West had a small man playing him in the post. You got to get it to him before Nowitzki picks him up.
Tyson Chandler, the double comes. One more pass from Pargo. West didn't want it. Now takes a tougher 2. And the rebound from Brandon Bass. I love Bass's athleticism.
Now, West, you say, hey, I like West's game. We really do. He's an all-star player. He's 1 for 7 right now. But he's got to understand, you've got to get to the rim. You've got to get to the rim and get some fouls on people. You just can't keep set when the ball is not going in the basket.
Jason Kidd frustrated that he had a toe on the tape. His first basket, he has 2 points and 4 assists. Pargo inside couldn't convert. And Kidd busts out of the pack but lost it.
Great play by Pargo.
Tried to get it to Paul. It was kicked by Bass. It will stay down here with the Hornets. The early going, New Orleans really struggling. He'll be 6 of 22 shooting. It's kind of what you expect for a team with not a ton of playoff experience early on.
Well, that's true, Mike. The intensity level here and the quickness is excellent. But Dallas is playing pretty good defense. They're not letting him get to the rim, so they have to just keep working at it over the 4 quarters. They'll get there.
Stojakovic inside. He misses the bunny. And the top 3 for the Hornets are 3 of 15 from the field.
And this is what's happening at the other end. that Dallas is getting the ball out. Jason Kidd is forcing the action and putting pressure on the New Orleans transition defense.
Jason Kidd was trying to call timeout out at the top of the circle. In the corner, the question was, is a jump ball called? Chris Paul is trying to negotiate with Joe Forte here. I think we're going to have a jump ball. And we will. As you see, the battle in the corner.
Keep an eye right here. Yep. Jason is right here in the bottom of your picture, right there on the left-hand side.
Trying to call timeout. Hilton Armstrong checks in for Tyson Chandler. Armstrong is second year at the University of Connecticut, part of a national championship team. He's really the one big guy they're going to bring off their bench.
Well, you know, he was the player of the year defensively in his conference as a college player, and he does a very nice, solid job. All they ask him to do, rebound, block shots, and if you get anything on the pick and rolls, that's a bonus.
A couple of Wake Forest guys, Chris Paul, who followed Josh Howard after he left Wake up for that jump, controlled by the taller Howard, who shoots the three and got fouled shooting it as Stojakovic tried to close out. That's 2 on Peja and 3 free throws for the Mavs.
Well, when you teach defense, you always tell your players never foul a jump shooter. Put the pressure on them, stay off them 3 feet. And you never foul a jump shooter behind a three-point line who is not a big three-point percentage shooter. Let him get that shot. Just close him down and get up and just apply a little bit of pressure.
In his 5th playoff appearance, Howard has 2 more free throws coming. Check the coverage now. TNT will start with a triple header, kind of broken up a little bit tomorrow. They begin at noon, then 12:30, the Raptors and Magic. And then in the evening, 76ers, Pistons, and the Hawks and Celtics. All those East series get going. Meantime, on ABC, coverage with the pregame at 2:30, then Nuggets and Lakers game 1 from Los Angeles at 3 Eastern. Tuesday, NBA TV will have game 2 of that Raptors Magic series. And do not forget that coming up next year on ESPN, it's game 1 of the Utah-Houston series. Dan Shulman, Doris Burke will have that for you from Texas coming up as soon as we're done.
In this game, we have 2 teams that average 100 points. We have 13 teams throughout the year average 100 plus. Now, the difference is that Dallas is a better, believe it or not, from the foul line down, defensive team. They cover and they rotate pretty good.
West, watched by Brandon Bass, former teammates last year here with the Hornets. 3 to shoot. Bonzi Wells just off the bench. The one bit of playoff experience. Great outlet by Kidd to Terry at the basket for 2. And it is an 11-point lead for the Mavericks.
Now that was a very difficult shot, mainly because the defender, Pargo, was there, and Jason Terry had to squirm and turn his body to miss the contact.
Paul over Kidd. Chris Paul's second field goal. He has 5.
Yeah, he's got to open up here a little bit. Right now, the rest of these guys are struggling. He can take a lot of pressure off this team if he'll look for his shot a little bit more.
Pass on Armstrong. Takes him baseline with power. Trying to go up through the basket. Could not. Plenty of time for the Hornets. Pargo. The 2.
Got plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Nowitzki taking West to the baseline. Stumbling in. Blocking foul called on Armstrong. It'll bring Nowitzki to the line. 5th foul on the Hornets in the quarter.
Nowitzki's game today, he's come to attack. And you can see it. He's going right down in there. Joe Forte calls the block charge because of the fact that the defender was inside of the circle, the defensive circle. But I like Nowitzki. He wants to get to the rim today.
And big series for him after the Golden State series last year. He knows the double's coming. He knows he's going to see it. And he's had to live with that right column for about 11 months.
Well, you can see the points were down, the shooting percentage, not only from the field, but as well as the 3.
And he was coming off the MVP regular season last year. You know, you look to the star. If you're a 1 seed and you flame out, people look at the star no matter what happens, whether they didn't get him shots, whether the O team did a good job. And he's had to bear that burden a little bit here. One guy very excited for the playoffs to start.
Well, I kind of like his game.
I'll take my chances with him. Home run for Paul. Is he going to get the shot? Yeah! Still a half second left. Bass, no. The Paul basket was a 2 and a good end to the quarter for New Orleans. Dirk Nowitzki and Josh Howard had 19 points for the Mavs in the first, with that big basket by Paul. Gets it at the end. After one in game one, Dallas on the road leads the 2 seed New Orleans 26-19.
Welcome back to New Orleans. Avery, you guys are up 7. What did you like about the tempo in that first quarter?
Well, we're playing at our tempo. We looking to run, but if we don't have anything, we know we got to swing the ball.
Now, Dirk struggled on Wednesday against this same team. Had a big first quarter here. What's been going right for him so far?
Well, he's really aggressive. Whether they're trying to double team him, he's looking to make a strong move, and when he makes strong moves, he's hard to guard.
Thanks for your time.
Lisa, thank you, and thanks to Avery Johnson. Both Avery and his wife, Cassandra, are from New Orleans natives. So a homecoming of sorts for Avery Johnson, but he said, not that old, make sure you get everybody tickets deal. It's the playoffs. It's a different feel to that. Juwan Howard comes in for Dallas as the second quarter begins. So does Julian Wright, the first-round pick for the Hornets, who missed it. Armstrong keeps it alive.
Now, at the end of that first quarter, New Orleans was 27 shots they got up. Now, that is a ton of shots for a quarter, but they only got to the foul line for 2 attempts, Mike, and that's a bad stat, because that's why we told you they only get there 20 times a game. That's 29th in the league, and they've got to maybe change a little bit and get to the rim more.
Eddie Jones and Juwan Howard came off the Dallas bench to start the second quarter to join Terry, Bass, and Howard. And JT missed it. The rebound for Bonzi Wells, who works with Hilton Armstrong, the rookie Julian Wright making his playoff debut. Gennaro Pargo has the ball, and David West posting Howard on the box. Pargo, 3.
Well, when Pargo comes in the game, he's shooting, and he's shooting quick. And that's part of his game. Now, right there, we had 2 guys. One was trying to block out the other, and then we had a collision, and they both went to the floor.
Eddie Jones foul.
Yeah, but Bonzi, well, see, Bonzi cuts through at the top of your picture right there. When the shot goes up, that was a good block out. You say, yeah, well, when you're on the road, you're going to make sure that you keep Bonzi Wells off the offensive board. He is a bear down inside of that painted area.
Coach, the Hornets, 3rd in the league in three-point shooting at 39% this year. 0 for 7 from behind the line tonight. And on the turnover, Jones brings it the other way.
Now, I like the strategy.
Whoa, traffic.
They are fronting Bonzi in the post. They ran him in there twice. They fronted him, and they're putting the pressure on you to make a good pass up over the top of the fronting.
Where should New Orleans go with this group for offense?
Well, right now, you're hoping that Pargo and Wells can go, but your main guy is West. Now, Stojakovic and West at the end of the quarter were 2 for 11. They've got to pick it up, but they're getting good looks.
Defensive 3 seconds will be a technical and a free throw coming for New Orleans. I want to ask you about the bench in this series, because Avery Johnson's able to bring Juwan Howard, been in the league 14 years, 20 games of playoff experience, and Eddie Jones, 78 games of playoff experience in the finals with Miami a couple of years ago, able to bring those guys off the bench. That's a big advantage in this series, right?
Absolutely. And the big key, though, for New Orleans, Byron Scott is going to milk Bonzi Wells and Pargo when they're out there. They're his 2 guys who can come in and get him points, and more important, put pressure on your defense. Pargo is quick off the dribble, and Bonzi will always be down on that left box, and he's going to cause chaos because you must use 2 defenders on him.
And there's the big number in terms of bench. 2nd lowest scoring bench in the league. Pargo and Wells are the 2 scorers. 4 to shoot. Armstrong inside.
Gotta get it up.
It hit the rim, able to keep it alive, and keep the trip going.
Yeah, when you bring in a young guy, you're just hoping that he can get it done.
And he draws the foul. Nice job by Armstrong with the effort.
Yes. I like the fact that he has a live body and he's in there. He's trying to make things happen. That's all you want when you're bringing off young people at the forward or center position for you.
The foul was on Brandon Bass, his first, 2nd of the quarter on the Mavericks. And there you see the story behind Hilton Armstrong, right at the back end of the lottery a couple of years ago. We'll shoot one more. You can visit NBA.com where you can get ready for the 2008 playoffs now at NBAstore.com. There you can find the best selection of team jerseys, hats, t-shirts, and more. NBAstore.com. Every team in one store.
As you look at both teams right now, you do not have major shot blocking. So you cannot settle if you have an opening. Go to the rim, challenge, and then go strong.
Armstrong went to the same high school peak skill in New York as Elton Brand. Split the pair of free throws, and on the drive, Josh Howard able to draw the foul. It's on the rookie Julian Wright, his team first of the quarter.
Well, Josh Howard is looking for 10 points if he makes both of these foul shots. He became active as we moved through the second half of that first quarter.
Career season for Howard. There's his playoff numbers. A lot of playoff experience. Been in the playoffs each of his 5 seasons here in the league, and there he be his continued progress as a scorer.
And I like also, Mike, the fact that he increased his shooting percentage each year. What you would like out of his game is that he would rebound the ball a little bit better as a small forward. He does not even give you 3 a game. A good small forward, defensively and board-wise, should get you between 6 and 8 at that position.
Knocks down the free throws, 2 minutes in. The lead is 8.
Up until now, Dallas has only given us the zone on 1 look. Here's Bonzi in there again, posting up against the man-to-man.
Draws 2 defenders and able to knock it down. Just think back to a couple of seasons ago with Sacramento. Bonzi, at the end of a contract, had an unbelievable playoff series. He's at the end of a contract right now. Would not be surprised to see Bonzi Wells have a big series against Dallas.
Upper body strength, Mike. He's really strong down inside, and he has many.
Bass attacks the rack and brings them off their feet on the Dallas bench.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
He's got like one of those every other game. Stojakovic 0 for 8 from behind the line for the Hornets. Game 1 of the best of 7. Game 2 is here on Tuesday. We're back in Dallas on Friday for Game 3. Juwan Howard missed it. Wells with the push, but the Mavs are back. This is show and go. QB, he has a game tailored for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, he has a game for this because there's a lot of transition and a lot of posting up, 2 of his strengths, and he loves body contact going to the rim.
Dallas has had the advantage most of the way. Eddie Jones off with the 3. Armstrong has done a nice job in his playoff debut.
Mike, they keep up this pace, they're going to be fine in the second half.
It'll be a Dallas timeout across midcourt. Stojakovic hits the first 3 and brings them to their feet in knowledge.
The Hornets are putting a ton of pressure in transition. Now watch this dunk. That is a man's dunk. At the other end, they're pushing the ball. They continue to get 4 on 3, 3 on 2, and Asia is looking for that long 3.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by the new all Jeep Liberty.
Back in New Orleans, the Dallas lead is 3. This exhilarating opening weekend of the playoffs continues with the pregame at 2:30 Eastern. GMC NBA Countdown followed at 3 Eastern by Game 1. Denver and Los Angeles, of course, 3 of the top 4 scorers in the league. Kobe, AI, and Carmelo in that series. The New Orleans Hornets care about the community. Peja Stojakovic, who just hit a 3 a moment ago, recently participating in the Charitable fundraiser. Donations raised through the event, helping refurbish basketball courts throughout the New Orleans area. Peja's Courts for Kids is joined with the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Louisiana for the refurbishment project. One more example of the New Orleans Hornets and the NBA, where caring happens. We talk about the great stories of the year. Obviously, this is a city still trying to recover from Hurricane Katrina, and the NBA did a great job with people from Commissioner Stern through the legends of the game, contributors to the game, and the All-Stars here on All-Star Weekend helping in the rebuilding process with hands dirty with paint, building homes, is part of the story, and this Hornets franchise has been very much a part of that physical and psychological recovery. Brandon Bass on the turnaround. It's a 5-point
Mike, it was nice to see that the people in the city started to rally around the team as they came down the stretch. In their last 17 home games, 12 were sellouts, and we naturally have a sellout again here today.
Marco's pass out of bounds will be turned over. George Shinn, the owner of the Hornets, bringing this franchise back from Oklahoma City. Of course, the 2 years in Oak City. And Oklahoma in the news because the Seattle Sonics could very well be playing there. The Board of Governors, the owners of the league, approving that yesterday, pending the outcome of the legal action with the Sonics and the city of Seattle. Hilton Armstrong called for the foul. George Shinn seated on the left. He's owned the Hornets since back in the Charlotte days. And to his left, on the right side of your picture, is Tom Benson, who is the owner of the New Orleans Saints, who play right next door in the Superdome. And this is Tom's first appearance at a Hornets game as the guest of George Shinn here tonight. As we watch Bass, a Louisiana native here at the line, I can't help but think about the New Orleans Saints first year back after they were nomads and playing everywhere in 05. They came back in 06 and had their best regular season, getting to the NFC Championship game, losing to Chicago. And here's New Orleans basketball after 2 years bouncing around in Oklahoma City, a few games here. They return back for their first year and have the best year in franchise history and make the playoffs. Make no mistake, this city has rallied around both franchises, and it's been part of their mutual thing, both the teams and the city.
Well, they're going to pick up some free agents, and hopefully they'll get lucky in the draft, because this is a very young basketball team, only a couple older guys, and then you know that they will grow together and they'll have more confidence when they come back a year from now. They are a good defensive team, and they will get better as they move along.
The foul was on Brandon Bass. You see the franchise history. Go back to the 90s, the Larry Johnson days when this franchise was in Charlotte. Before moving to New Orleans, they made the playoffs here in New Orleans 4 years ago, losing in 7 in the Eastern Conference to Dwayne Wade, the rookie in the Miami Heat, then out the last 3 years. One more for Wells. That foul, by the way, was the second on Bass. And as Eric Dampier comes in for him, here's Lisa Salters.
And Micah, it's amazing what a few wins in a season can do for the community's support of a team. Tyson Chandler was telling me that because the team played their entire season last year in Oklahoma City, that this was really his first time spending a whole lot of time here in New Orleans. And at the beginning of this season, he would walk around town and people would say, "Hey, you're tall. What do you do for a living?" And when he said, "I play for the Hornets," they would say, "Oh, we didn't really know that we had a team here in New Orleans." He said, "Now I can't ride around anywhere without people knowing who I am."
It's part of being a good team. Blocked by Terry on the Pargo jumper. I thought George was out of bounds. He almost threw it away. Stojakovic knocked down Stackhouse. That's a loose ball foul on Peja, and that will be his third. So on that scramble situation, that's a big foul. Stojakovic's third.
The defense here at the defensive end has been great. Bonzi Wells has not given up on a play. Also, Stojakovic has not done any kind of ball faking at all in this first half.
Interesting spot there. Peja, during that replay, looked over at Byron Scott and said, "I'm okay with the 3 fouls."
Well, he's gambling big time here right now. We still have 6 minutes and 54 seconds. He has 3 fouls. And now Byron Scott is probably saying, look, I just don't want this game to get into double figures. I don't want it to get 12 to 15 on the downside, so I'm going to keep him in. But this is a major gamble. You say, well, why doesn't he put in a... Well, if you don't have guys who can shoot the basketball, he's getting the break, everything he wants in transition, but he needs some scorers on the floor.
Nowitzki is begging for the ball because he has Peja on him right now with those 3 fouls, but there's 2 to shoot for Terry. Tyson Chandler gets the rebound. Chris Paul still on the bench. The rookie Julian Wright out of Kansas. Air ball and rebounded by the Mavs. Good deflection by Bonzi Wells. 21 on the shot clock.
Yeah, I like the pressure that New Orleans is putting on the Dallas transition defense. And they have got to keep saying, keep it going. You're getting the 4-on-3. As this game progresses, we get to that 4th quarter. If you continue to get it out, you'll get it down to 4-on-2, and that's when you've got to capitalize.
They went to Devin George, who was guarded by Stojakovic, around the perimeter for Stackhouse. He gets the board. Nowitzki a 3. Stojakovic had to be careful, couldn't aggressively go after it. And Devin George, the first player from a Division III college to play in the NBA Finals when he was with the Lakers, puts the Mavericks on top by 9. Tasia 3. If you're going to be out there with 3 fouls, you better knock down a couple of shots.
We call that making a contribution.
I think he's going to come out at the next timeout. Bonzi Wells fouls Nowitzki. Dirk's going to have some free throws when we come back. The foul on Bonzi, his second. Dallas has led most of the way. Game 1 from New Orleans, opening round, and the 7th seed leads the 2 by 6.
Mark Jones back in the studio with his Taco Bell studio update. Game 1 between the Suns and the Spurs. Went to the Spurs. Manu Ginobili with time winding down in double overtime off glass. You kind of know he's going to go left. The Suns had many opportunities to win this game, but couldn't get it done in the end. The Spurs take Game 1 by 2 points. Mike Tirico, back to you.
All right, Jonesy, when you go online and look at that box score on ESPN.com or see it in the paper tomorrow, you're going to see some interesting stuff. Rajon Bell played 54 minutes, Parker 51, Duncan 50 and a half. Epic game to start that series. Well, the coaches here, Hubie, have a ton of playoff experience. Matter of fact, they are 2 of the 4 coaches of the 16 teams in the playoffs who won championships as a player. Byron 3 with the Lakers, Phil Jackson 2 with the Knicks, Mo Cheeks, whose Sixers start against Detroit tomorrow, and Avery Johnson, champion with the Spurs. So we have 2 guys in this series going head-to-head who know what it's like to go all the way. Does that matter? Does that kind of thing, that plus the coaching experience in the finals, both lost as head coaches in the final, does that matter at all?
I don't think so. Okay, the main thing is the players play the games. You can have all of that experience. You can talk to them. You can help them in their situations, one-on-one, talk to them, and then as a group. But now your philosophy and how they execute your philosophy, do they have the chemistry at both ends of the floor, and then can they shoot a percentage? And when we talk about shooting a percentage, right here, New Orleans is struggling. They're only shooting 33%, and they're only going to be down 8 at this juncture. So you're saying, you know what? They're really not that bad off right now. I like their tempo. I just wish that they would get to the basket a little bit more off the dribble and then challenge Dallas. The big thing, if you're going to get fouled, they've missed 5 foul shots. They're 2 for 7 on the foul line in this game.
Stojakovic has stayed in with the 3 fouls on Devin George and travels as he stumbles to the ground. West and Paul, the All-Stars for New Orleans, have checked back in for Byron Scott.
Yeah, I'm glad that was a call on the travel, not a defensive foul on Jason Kidd.
Kidd 2 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Good job by the Mavericks here, isolating Stojakovic with Nowitzki. 8 to shoot. Stackhouse. Gary's 0 for 5. Dampier gets the board and keeps it on.
Well, the people are upset because Dampier gets away. Oh, how about that? A little volleyball pass from Stackhouse
to Dampier for the dunk, and the lead is 10. Dallas has led by 11. New Orleans had 1 lead at 11-10. West hurling to the basket, chasing it down and knocking it down. So David West, who was 1 of 8 before that make, gets back to an 8-point game.
Well, needless to say, he's got to get going. And the big thing is he's got to get down in there and go strong. With Dampier out there, now you have a legitimate shot blocker, one of the best in the league.
West is a 48% shooter in the regular season and scores 20 a game. They double Dirk. What will happen after those doubles? That's a big part of this series. Devin George missed the 3. Nowitzki slapped it. I think Kidd chasing it down, so it's okay.
Now, New Orleans is getting to Dirk when he posts up or he tries to back you down. They're coming hard with the double. Dirk is better off making the catch and turning, face the basket, and he can split the double team.
Here comes again, and they left Dirk that time. He scores.
Facing up. He's pretty to watch.
You do have to remind yourself, he's 7 feet.
That's right.
7.
Well, you know, when you talk about his game, only 2 guys in the history of this game have scored over 20 points. Shot 50% from the field, over 40 from threes. and then over 90 on the line. Larry Bird did it twice, and Dirk Nowitzki. Now I would say that's pretty fine company.
That's the best. It's right there. Nowitzki doing it last year in his MVP season. Back-to-back field goals for West. Tyson Chandler the block. Couldn't keep it in bounds. 12 to shoot for the Mavs. And we'll get subs here. Ryan Bowen will come in for the first time. He'll get Stojakovic with 3 fouls. Probably sit the rest of the half.
Now Bowen is coming in. He's going to give you a defense. He's not a threat anywhere outside on the perimeter. What he would do is he moves well without the ball.
53 games, he only took 100 shots. Brian Bowen had a hip surgery in 06, was thinking about retiring, decided to come back for one more taste of the playoffs, and he gets it here tonight. And he gets a rebound.
That was a great screen on the baseline by Jason Kidd. Beautiful. Opened up Nowitzki for a clear shot.
West attacking Nowitzki, doubled with Kidd. Bonzi Wells a runner. Bowen kept it alive. That's exactly what he's going to do in the game.
I give Jason Kidd a lot of credit. Jason has been instrumental in that quick double teaming of West time and time again when he catches it on the post.
Bonzi wants it on Jason, but that height of Jason Kidd goes up to get it and forces Wells to commit the foul. We'll have free throws coming after this timeout. 2:34 to go until halftime. The Mavericks leading by 8. This city where the trumpets can be heard from almost every alleyway. Toyota halftime show coming up. Double overtime thriller in San Antonio. Game 1 of that series. Game 1 of the Cavs-Wizards series as well. And a Jazz-Rockets preview. Mark Jones, Jalen Rose, Stephen A. Smith coming up with the Toyota halftime show. For Dirk Nowitzki, it's been a long wait since last year's flame out in the playoffs. He is so glad to get back to the postseason.
The time is finally here, and then we can go out there and hopefully play a lot better. I feel like, last year, the last meaningful game we had was like end of March or whatever, and then we were coasting for like 3 weeks. And once the playoffs came, we just weren't sharp on both ends of the floor. And I feel this year we had to work all the way until the playoffs, and hopefully we can carry that momentum into it and have a great playoff run.
And Hubie, he's taken 11 shots to start this game, 15 points. 4 rebounds as Jason Kidd is at the line after Bonzi Wells' 3rd personal foul.
Well, I like what Avery Johnson said to Lisa at the end of the quarter. He's being extremely aggressive, and we know that he's not at 100%, but he's attacking the rim and he's getting out on the break.
Kidd knocks them both down. Dallas is plus 12 in free throws made and plus 10 on the board as they extend the pressure here with 2.5 left in the half.
What they're trying to do is take time off the clock. Now, the one guy that's got to get going is Chris Paul. He has 7 points. He's 3 for 6 from the field. Remember, we told you, in the 2 wins during the season, he averaged over 30 with 12 assists against Dallas.
Bowen puts up an air ball. Rarely do you see him shoot from the outside. Nowitzki thought about stepping into a 3. Howard will take 3. Dirk up to get it. Off the mark, Chandler the rebound with Nowitzki down. It's 5 on 4. That's a foul on Brandon Bass. 4th team foul on the Mavericks.
Now, Brandon Bass is complaining because he said that Chris Paul cut in front of him as he was running down the floor and had a lane. Now, just keep an eye on this. Watch. See, Chris Paul saw him come to the rear, and then all of a sudden, and right there, you're seeing Brandon Bass is complaining to the referee.
3rd on Bass. Not over the limit, so it's the first in the last 2 minutes. Bass will sit. Dampier back in for the back end of the half. Brandon Bass gave some good productivity to Avery Johnson with 8 points on 3 for 5.
Solid.
As Rockets follow with game 1 of their series, West, who opened 1 for 8, has hit his last 3 shots and joins Stojakovic with 8 points to lead the Hornets. Let's see how New Orleans closes this quarter. They closed the first quarter pretty well. They get their feet wet here in the playoffs. Bowen with the foul on the drive by Howard.
Now, this is a situation where the one team is attacking the rim, not worrying about shot blocking, meaning Dallas. This will be their 16th and 17th foul shot attempts in this game. At the other end of the floor, New Orleans is struggling from the floor, but they're only 7 foul shot attempts.
And only 2 makes out of the 7.
That's exactly right. And a few times that they got there. Now, a strong suit for Dallas is the fact that 6 of their top 8 scorers all shoot over 80%. They're number 1 in the league as a team.
81.5% from the line. Howard, a big part of that, knocks down both, and the lead's back up to 10.
Well, I'm glad to see that they're changing up their defenses here. We thought that they would come out with a little bit more. They started the game in the first possession in the zone. Now, after that, they played strictly man-to-man.
Nice take by Paul. Gets all the way in for 2. His 4th field goal, he has not.
He can do that all night long. No way can Jason Kidd stop him off the dribble. But it comes down to alleys and avenues to the basket.
Nowitzki will blow past Bowen. Pitch to Howard. Dirk, he's all elbows and arms going up to get rebound. I love watching him go to the board. Terry faked the 3. Jason Kidd's got 1. He is really shooting well from the outside the last couple of games. Shot very well in the Wednesday win over New Orleans. He's knocked down 2 threes, or 1 3 and 1 deep 2 here tonight.
Well, since he has joined Dallas, he's shooting the 3 ball at 46%.
A lot of contact. Paul able to convert. Wanted the foul. 9-point game.
It's getting a little cheap out there right now. A few people have been popped in the last minute of play.
Off the miss, the rebound is pulled down by Kidd with the shot clock off.
This is a situation you cannot assume someone else is going to rebound the ball.
Avery Johnson not going to use that 20 that you can't take into the second half. These guys got it all set on the floor. Kidd going at Paul. And the pitch to Howard for 3. Big 3 at the end of the half. 1.4 to go. And the Hornets will go into the locker room down 12. So a good finish to the half by the Mavericks, who have the playoff experience and come out and hold the Hornets under 40% from the field. Jason Kidd filled the stat sheet in the first half as usual, and he's standing by with Lisa Salters.
Thanks, Mike. Jason, they really struggled from the floor at times during that first half. What were you doing to them defensively?
Well, I think we're just trying to make it tough. They missed some easy shots that we expect that they'll make in the second half, but we got to take care of the ball and keep putting the pressure on them.
And specifically Chris Paul, you're defending him. He had 11 points, but just 3 assists. What are you doing to slow him down?
Well, nothing. The big thing is, again, I'm just trying to make it tough, make him a scorer, and keep everybody else from touching the ball.
So it's just luck then?
It's a team effort.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks, Lee. 7 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds for the future Hall of Famer. Jason Kidd, 15 apiece for Howard and Nowitzki to lead the Mavs. There's the Toyota halftime show stories. You can read them and you will hear them and see them. And the great highlights if you were out enjoying the day of that double overtime classic in San Antonio. Mark Jones, Fab Five legend Jalen Rose, and Stephen A. Smith have those for you. At the break, Game 1, it is the 7-seed Dallas Mavericks not playing with the pressure of the team that's supposed to win it all, and New Orleans, the playoff newbies. It is Dallas by 12 at the break. Toyota halftime show on the other side of this.
Now it's time for the McDonald's I'm Lovin' It highlights.
Are you tough enough? Is your stuff enough? Let 'em roll, let 'em go, let 'em fly. Took a chance on a chance, got to be in it to win. 9 lives, 9 times to die.
Those were the McDonald's I'm Lovin' It highlights.
And gets us to the second half. New Orleans led for 11 seconds in that first half. It's been all Dallas pretty much, leading by 12. Game 1, the 2-7 matchup, best of 7, opening round, Western Conference playoffs. The Capital One first half stats show us 2 of 11 from the field for both Dallas and New Orleans. And Hubie Brown, big advantage at the free throw line. Dallas plus 14 in the make column.
And also the fact that the second chance points, Mike, very big. Then the field goals, you can see it right there for the group. Now, when you look at that, Nowitzki and Josh Howard had a great half, but Jason Kidd was the main man.
Yeah, you talk about Jason Kidd. Let's go to our Gatorade cooler talk. For Chris Paul, it's playoff game 1. for Jason Kidd, game 101. He's done this before.
Well, he makes excellent decisions in the half-court game. He had it very easy, 7 assists. Decisions on the break. He pushed and he forced the transition game in that first quarter. Now, this is one of his 2 steals in the half. He surprised Stojakovic in the backcourt. Now, fronting Bonzi Wells, he come on, get that lob pass. Here, he's never shied away from body contact. He's the #1 point guard rebounder in the league. Now, we know he'll find the free man. He's totally unselfish, putting together an outstanding half of basketball.
And you see the numbers to go with Dirk Nowitzki and Josh Howard. It's been the big guys for Dallas answering the bell so far.
Well, the rest of the team is struggling a little bit, but you always want your 3 main people to get it done, and they did it here in this first quarter.
And before the third quarter, here's Lisa Salters.
Well, Mike, Byron Scott has been preaching to his guys for the last several weeks that come playoff time, the intensity level is completely different. So I asked him, how do you think your guys responded that first half? And he said, it looked like we had the jitters. It looked like we were nervous. It looked like we were anxious. We did too much fouling. We've got to do a much better job defensively, keeping them off the free throw line. He said on the offensive end, we just got to attack. We settled for too many outside shots in that first half.
And Tyson Chandler leads to start the third. He's blocked by Eric Dampier. The same 10 that started the game start this second half with Dallas leading by 12. Jason Kidd walks by Chris Paul. Lob for Nowitzki was a tough catch and out of bounds. A turnover for the Mavericks. It is their 7th. Hubie, if you were in Byron Scott's seat in the locker room at halftime, how would you have addressed your guys?
Well, everything is a positive point. Right now we know that Chris Paul, he's got to get going. He had a nice half, very quietly, with the 11 points, and the 3 steals and things of this nature. He's got to make himself more vocal and also more aggressive. The rest of the guys are struggling, but they're getting good looks. Continue to push on the fast break. It's there for us. The main thing, though, is we've got to finish the break when we have the advantage. 3-on-2, 4-on-3.
Going to go the other way. Offensive foul called on Eric Dampier, and that will be his first foul.
Now, if you missed the stats in that first half, see, we said at the top, bench points would be critical in this series. Unfortunately for New Orleans, the bench came in and we were only 3 for 15.
2 for Paul to start the quarter.
Lead by example, Mike. So what if you're the youngest guy out there with no playoff experience? Come on, you can do it. That's why you're up for MVP. You got a ton of talent.
Knocked it away there. Another deflection, 7 to shoot. Josh Howard working on Stojakovic. Got a nice screen from Dampier. Missed it. Good hustle by Howard to get it. Misfired and chases it down to keep it alive.
And once again, see, you cannot assume that somebody else is going to get the rebound.
And on the drive, Howard may have hurt his ankle, and Stojakovic may have picked up his 4th foul. It is Peja's 4th, and Howard immediately trying to tie that left shoe a little bit tighter for the pain in the ankle.
Now just keep an eye right here. You're going to see he just came down awkwardly. He did not step on Stojakovic, but it was a definite foul by Peja. Now, Byron Scott, up until now, is not even motioning to get Peja out of the game. He's going to ride this and just say, hey, look, just do your thing. But he's got a difficult matchup. He's matched up on Josh Howard. Next time down the floor, Josh Howard has to realize this, and they have to run some kind of an isolation, let him take him off the dribble.
Check that injury one more time to Howard, that left ankle. They're stepping on Stojakovic's right foot and turning it. How about the truck in playoff form? They got that done right away, huh? Kenny Dennis, and Vidge, Eddie Fibashoff, our producer, our entire crew. A 1 seed working with us. First points of the quarter for the Mavs. Paul on the run. That's 3 field goals here now, Hubie.
Now, very quietly, he's accepting the challenge. And you can see how easily he gets by Jason Kidd. We said that in the first half. He was just being a nice person trying to distribute the basketball. But he's getting good looks, and they're easy looks.
Now can Kidd take him on this end and post him. Nothing there. Howard rims it out. Rebound Morris Peterson.
New Orleans must do a better job on the defensive boards, Mike. 9 offensive rebounds in that first half by Dallas.
Damon West knocks it down, and Avery's going to take a timeout in 3 minutes, or 2 minutes and 15 seconds. They've cut the halftime lead of 12 down to 6. And David West has hit his last 4 field goals after starting 1 of 8. Titans up quickly early in the third quarter, 54-48. Meantime, T-Mac is in the house at the Toyota Center. Rockets Jazz, game 1 of their Western Series comes up as soon as we're done here in New Orleans.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And the new Capital One Card Lab at CapitalOne.com. What's in your wallet?
The Hornets have cut the deficit to a half dozen. Byron Scott in his 4 years here has taken an 18-win team and turned him into a 56-win number 2 seed. But his team was not hearing a lot of people nationally say they were the favorites in this series. That's okay with them.
Nobody's given us a chance, whatsoever. No matter how well we played this season, this playoff series against the Mavericks, a team that has more experience, have more to prove because they lost last year in the first round. All those little cliches that you keep hearing, our guys hear them all the time now. So I'm just trying to give them a little bulletin board material to let them understand that there's really not a whole lot of people besides the guys in our room, in our nice little group, that think we have a chance to win this thing. So we got to do what we've been doing all season long, prove people wrong.
It's kind of continued the theme of all year, Hubie. Everybody doubts us, so let's just keep them going.
Well, everyone's talking about how good the Los Angeles Lakers are. Well, the Lakers won 1 more game than New Orleans. And then also, they won 26 games on the road this year. That is a terrific stat. The 4th best in this league. This team is for real, and they're doing it basically with 7 guys.
Morris Peterson, who has not done much here tonight, picked up the foul, his team second. It'll send Dampier, just over a 57% shooter, to the line.
Mike, you made a good point earlier, and that is the offensive rebounding. The offensive rebounding is hurting New Orleans more than anything else. That was the 12th offensive board, and that is the 17th point. It's 17-7 in second chance points. That's a -10. And yeah, we say it all the time at playoff time. You must take care of your defensive board.
And Dallas is not a fabulous offensive rebounding team for the season.
No.
And New Orleans did a good job on the defensive board for the year. So, go figure.
When you're small like this, all 5 guys must rebound. And at halftime, Stackhouse and Kidd had 11 rebounds.
That's right. Stojakovic staying in with 4 fouls. Watched by Howard. Pulls up. Off the mark. Good rebound by Morris Peterson.
Oh, you got to make that.
Nowitzki able to clean it up for the Mavs.
That's the 3rd easy basket starting right in that first quarter that they have missed underneath.
Howard on a fellow Wake Forest product, Chris Paul. Lost it. New Orleans ball, and Chris says, get it and go.
You'll always keep them out of the middle. Keep them out of the middle. Send them to the baseline where you can get a rotation or put them behind the backboard.
Watch how they're playing the pick and roll involving Nowitzki and Kidd. Free space for Paul. His first miss of the second half, and Stackhouse gets the rebound. Jason Kidd, this was the big trade for the Mavericks in retooling this team that was listing through the season. Stackhouse to Nowitzki. And Dirk Nowitzki knocks down his 6th field goal.
Now that's a second beautiful pass by Stackhouse. One earlier on the break where he gave a volleyball pass to Dirk, and in that one, that was good recognition, good eyes, where you're looking for another player because you do not have a good shot.
Good defensive help by Howard, who shut off that baseline, but West able to convert. So Hubie, after opening 1 of 8 from the field, David West, Adam Xavier, has hit his last 5 field goals.
Well, he's had a fantastic season, and he's a strong-minded young man.
Stack 0 for 6. Tyson Chandler goes up and gets it.
Yes, that's what we want to see the big boy do here.
Paul. Tied up inside. Peja. 3.
Good decision by Paul.
A good foul by Paul on Stackhouse. 40 feet away, and Stackhouse was getting free. That's Chris's first.
Now, Byron, we told you, gambling with Stojakovic because he has 4 fouls. But he's in the game to make 3s. He's in the game to get this, major negative, the minus point situation down where it's manageable.
And he's 2 of 6, as you saw. behind the arc. 3 team fouls on the Hornets here in the third. None on the Mavericks. Stackhouse looked to the clock, saw he had 5 to shoot. Nowitzki, triple. Dirk Nowitzki with a 3.
Anytime he makes a catch, when he's over half court, you must close him down and force him to dribble the ball. He is so dangerous because he does not need a dribble to elevate for a long shot.
That was Stackhouse's 3rd assist to go with 7 rebounds, even though he's not scoring here tonight. West doubled. Morris Peterson likes that spot.
Good rotation. They take the trap. You make the first pass to Stojakovic. The second pass to the opposite corner will always free you.
Most of this game, it's been a 6 to 10 point Dallas lead. It's 8 right now. Kidd sees 2. Good ball movement by the Mavs, and Howard missed the 3. Dampier went up to get it, but couldn't squeeze it.
Good hands that time by Chandler.
Chris Paul, who like Josh Howard, both Winston-Salem, North Carolina natives in addition to Wake Forest products. The West clear out and take Dampier. Dirk came over. The foul is called.
When you are isolated on a wing with a center, you give him the ball fake, just like West did, and then take him strong into the hole because he's going to try to go for the shot block, and there will be body contact.
2 on Dampier. It's the first team foul of the quarter. Halfway through the third, David West, who was the Hornets' first-round pick, 18 overall in 2003, comes to the line. 4 years at Xavier in Cincinnati, first-team All-America there. Played for the late Skip Prosser, who passed away so tragically almost a year ago. Skip also coached Chris Paul at Wake Forest. Well, there's Dikembe Mutombo, age 40-something, still going strong. Tons of playoff experience. Right. And the man in the middle for this Rockets playoff chase. That's big, Hubie, in this series. Last year, Jazz won Game 7 in Houston. Yao was a big part of that series. Will that be a factor guarding Boozer and Okur in this series?
Well, Dikembe has done an outstanding job in closing out this season. He and then Landry, also Scola coming in and playing backup center, moving from that starting power forward. The frontline people have really executed well defensively for Houston.
Nowitzki on the drive, got bumped, and he'll get the free throws as this game is down to 6 with 5:51 to go. Jazz and the Rockets, a little preview of the rematch of last year's opening round series, won by Utah on the road in Game 7. The Jazz won the season series 2-1, and as is mentioned often, Tracy McGrady has never been out of the first round. Last year wasn't his fault. He had a very good series, including a good Game 7. Tomorrow, the East gets continued with 3 series starting. Raptors Magic on TNT. Their coverage will begin at high noon. And then after the ABC game, you see the 2 games in Detroit and Boston. Nowitzki makes both ABC, 2:30 Eastern pregame. Nuggets Lakers Game 1 from Los Angeles. Mike Breen joined by the rumor couple of Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. And NBA TV will have Game 2 in Toronto at Orlando on Tuesday night. Paul fouled by Kidd, second on the Mavs as a team, and Jason second. Bonzi Wells going to come in here against Stojakovic.
In that first half, Bonzi was extremely active. He forced them to front him every time that he posted up. I thought that was excellent strategy, and it was difficult to get him to pass from the top of the circle.
Dampier foul, his team third of the quarter. What are they doing with Paul when he gets the ball?
Well, in that situation, that's the first time that they've really trapped him hard. By that we mean Dampier steps up here and he forces him to dribble back out towards half court. And now that was just a dump foul. You don't want to foul in that situation. Let him dribble back out there. You did your job.
Peterson at Kidd, no call, basket. 6-point game. Dallas wanted that call.
Pete can make some points for you in Toronto, but through 6 years he averaged over 12 points a game. But right now he was quiet in that first half.
Now here comes the crowd with the lead a half dozen the last couple of trips. Nowitzki and Chandler 22 feet away. Foul on Tyson. Nowitzki pushes back, technical foul on Chandler. So the two got tangled up, and Chandler kept it going after the whistle was called for the foul. And Dick Pavetta and Sean Corbin just talked before the tee is assessed.
Now, we talk about closing out, but this is closing out a little bit too close. All right, now you're going to see the foul and then the push. All right, no way are they not going to allow them. They are going to call a definite technical immediately.
You know, I'm thinking that little push didn't really send Dirk toes overhead, but it's a good piece of officiating to prevent it from escalating.
Absolutely.
I thought the guys did a great job in that Cleveland-Washington game. Look, you want an armpit in your face there. That'll start to get, well, you're the one who's trying to get in that close.
Now we have two 7-footers here, right? Two 7-footers. And when you're up in that close, you don't have to get that way because you have long arms. The long arms will get up in there and intimidate him. The big thing is just force him to dribble the basketball and get him out from behind the three-point line.
And Nowitzki, 10th best in the league at 88% from the line. Chance to add 3 here. That foul on Chandler was his first as the owner of the Mavs, Mark Cuban, watches from behind the Dallas bench.
When you're in the penalty, you have to understand that you are in the penalty, and if you do foul somebody, you do not want to be a guy who's an 85 to 90% foul shooter.
How about Dirk has 10 of those 24 makes. He's been to the line 11 times. And there is an imbalance in free throws, but it's right. It has nothing to do with the officiating.
Right.
Little zone here for the Mavs. Let's see. Paul finds an open spot.
Easy. Just makes it so easy. Effortless. He just takes his time. He reads the defense. He gives you a little spurt, then he elevates. Beautiful, soft touch.
He's 4 of 5 in the quarter. Kid posted. Paul hanging with him. 5 to shoot. Howard spinning on Wells. Good job by Chandler coming over to change the shot.
Yeah, Bonzi played him well off the dribble, and Chandler came over and really intimidated him so that he would not take that extra dribble.
Nice split of the double, and Paul is 5 of 6, showing the MVP form here in this third quarter.
And he gets down in there, Mike, he's trouble because everyone is playing him for the pass. This half, he's not going for the pass. He's looking for his own shot.
They come to double Nowitzki, who's free. There it is, Stackhouse hasn't hit a field goal. Peterson went up to get it. A 3 would bring the house down here. Or 2. Chandler, weak side rebound, couldn't convert.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that he took the shot. He had the center playing him, and Chandler had a big mismatch underneath.
And a good job finding the open man, but the miss. Paul on the run with Peterson.
Got to get a layup.
And 1.
Chris Paul makes great decisions. He really knows when to go all the way and when to go, take the defense, and make the pass.
The foul on Josh Howard. Paul, a personal 6-0 run. You may hear after Chris Paul hits a hoop, you hear the PA announcer do the woo. That's Ric Flair, the wrestler. That used to be Baron Davis's deal when he was the star for the Hornets. And the fans follow the PA announcer. That's why you hear that woo in the background every time Paul scores. Had the closed captioning do on that one, huh? 2-point game. Gennaro Pargo has checked in for the Hornets. Howard has Chandler. Jason Terry off the bench. Knocks down a 3.
Well, Jason Terry has been a thorn in the side of the Hornets, but usually it happens in Dallas. But we know that he can get hot in a hurry.
Second field goal for Terry. 5-point game. Paul got it back.
Stayed with it. Stayed with it all the way.
Bonzi attacks Dirk.
Easy. Easy.
Really is, huh?
Because Bonzi wanted the physical contact.
Yeah.
You notice he wasn't yelling for the foul. He just took Dirk in, got the contact, and ran that spin move.
No call. Howard, a pass, Chandler came over to defend. Brandon Bass keeping it alive. It hit the bottom of the basket off Bass. It'll be Hornets ball after this timeout, and they are on their feet and rocking the New Orleans arena. 2:42 left. Third quarter. Dallas leads by 3. Jerry Sloan meeting the media in Houston, talking about game 1. Best of 7 Jazz Rockets. Can this playoff day get any better?
Carlos Boozer, the Utah Jazz, trying to get his team back to the conference finals like they did a season ago. He's one of just 4 20-point, 10-rebound players in the league this year. Sure to do work against the Rockets. That's coming up next. Mike, back to you.
And Jonesy, there was only one 20-point, 10-assist man in the NBA this year. Chris Paul is having a great third quarter, Hubie Brown.
Well, he's putting the pressure on. He gets 13 points in this quarter. The fact that he can stop on a dime and elevate puts the defender always rocking backward. Now, when he decides to blow by you, it makes it look so easy, but he is so quick, and he can finish off the glass or make a miraculous shot like we're witnessing right here.
And Coach, he's become the face of the franchise. Many magazine spreads, great article on him in Sports Illustrated. But U.S. bowler, Chris Paul would tell you that he would rather bowl than do anything else. He's now a spokesman for the U.S. Organizing body for bowling. He has really accepted all the attention that comes with this MVP-type season quite well. As he has doubled on the outside, we have defensive 3 seconds on the Mavericks and a free throw coming for New Orleans, which trails by 3.
From now to the end, we have to watch this hard double teaming. Now, once Chris Paul takes it back to half court, now you have an advantage from the three-point line down. You have 4 against 3. Now let's see the organization of the Hornets, that where they make the pass and they take it.
Coach, the 20 and 10 is the 19th time in the history of the league that's been done, and the first time since Tim Hardaway did it. It has been a long time since 20 and 10 in the same season, some 15 years, and Chris Paul doing that this year. The historical perspective on his year. 2-point game. Wells ties it at 68 with 2:20 to go.
Bonzi is one of the best street shooters that I've been around, that I've had an opportunity to coach. Once he gets going now, he just can't not just do it in the box. He'll get it in transition, and he's got a great 15 to 18-foot game.
And he ties it away. To Paul, to the basket.
Oh, yes!
Hornets lead.
Oh, great play by Bonzi Wells, and a sensational finish by Chris Paul.
The Mavericks, 3 of 15 from the field in this third quarter. Nowitzki, tough shot. Devin George tried to keep it alive, could not, and a foul is called. Couldn't hear the whistle. This place is jumping right now, but a foul on the Mavs will send the Hornets to the line.
Great play right here by Bonzi Wells. Now watch the finish. Because remember now, 2 defenders are coming down on you, and you know that you're going to have body contact.
Quite a comeback here, and Coach, that's 3 of 17 now on this end for the Mavs in the third quarter. Is it their shot selection or New Orleans defense?
Now, give New Orleans the defense, mainly because when you're scoring the basketball, like they are in this quarter, and your main guy is leading you, you're playing quicker defensively. You're moving your feet. The traps are coming. But what they still must do is take care of that defensive board. That's the only area, because if you notice, the ball isn't going 1 and out.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's 2 and 3, and then a miraculous recovery.
That's right. The lead is 4. If you're just joining us, Mavericks led most of the way, 26-19 after 1. They led by 12 at the break. This 16-3 run done a large part on this defensive end. Brandon Bass finds Devin George, who will come to the line. Good work there by 2 bench players for the Mavs in George and Bass. While we have a second, let me remind you, game 1 of the other series in the Western Conference that will get going is the Nuggets and the Lakers. Pre-game GMC NBA Countdown 2:30. Game starts at 3. You have the second leading scorer in the league, Kobe Bryant, and 3 and 4, Allen Iverson and Carmelo Anthony. Of course, the Lakers are the favorite in that series as the 1. What's a scenario for Denver to make it a long series and put LA on the ropes?
Well, this comes down to their talent base. We know that they're going to get more minutes, so they're going to score a lot of baskets. The key for them is the defensive rebounding, and then whether they're going to play 5 men, helping Camby out. Right? Camby's had a sensational year for them, and unfortunately, it's overlooked. It was overlooked at All-Star time. It's overlooked now, and what you would like to see them do is all 5 guys out on the floor get on the same page for them defensively.
30 Eastern, the coverage tomorrow with the pregame. You saw Mark Cuban saying, come on, Blue, come on, defense, see if the Mavs can get a stop. Paul kept the dribble alive. Chandler tried to slap it. It was off. Let's see, Devin George, yes.
Yeah, that's the call I had.
Right.
I thought that, Chandler made a good swipe at the basketball, but then I thought it caught a blue shirt.
Good job by Sean Corbin diving in. The official from the outside. The Hornets have shot 62% from the field in this third quarter to erase a 12-point halftime deficit. They scored 32 in the quarter. David West to the paint. 2 more.
Now he can make that shot. That's one of his pet moves. When he comes down. Oh, yes! You can see it!
Push for the Mavericks. Nowitzki at the line. Right back to Dirk. Oh, shooter's touch and a nice one from Nowitzki to settle his team down.
Mike, that was a beautiful pass by Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd could have forced up a shot, but he knew that Dirk was in his comfort area.
5 is the difference. Game and shot clock. Nowitzki leads all scorers with 27. Paul has 26.
You got to go up here.
West just got it off. Chandler, the putback.
That's why he leads the league in offensive rebounding.
Kidd wants it back. He'll come right at Paul. Spin. Shooting time. And off the glass. It counts for 2. They'll look at it on replay. And they'll confirm a call on the floor before they go to replay. Jason Kidd knocks down that shot.
Just watch, Jason was reading the clock. He knew that he had a chance to get it to half court and get over for the release of the ball.
This is going to be very, very close. At first look, I think that might not count. We'll check it when we come back. After 3, the Hornets have the lead.
Welcome back to New Orleans. Byron, what in the world did you say to Chris Paul to inspire that third quarter?
Well, I told him that the young man had to be aggressive. I thought we came out with the jitters the first half. It was expected. We got a young basketball team, but, we did a pretty good job defensively. Our main concern was transition and keeping them off the free throw line.
Break it down for me. What was the difference for Chris in that third quarter?
He just got more aggressive. I think he saw his opportunities a little bit more, and they're doing a pretty good job of getting over screens and trying to ball him up. But any big that comes out there, he can attack, and that's what I was trying to tell him to do.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, Lise, let's do some housekeeping here. The lead is 76-72. Hornets by 4. This shot did not count. Great job on replay here. 0-0. The ball is still touching the fingertips of Jason Kidd at 0-0. They looked at 3 different angles and confirmed it was still on his hands when the red light was on. So that shot did not count. The Mavericks down 4. They've blown a 12-point lead. Start the 4th with Nowitzki attacking the basket. They were 4 of 17 from the field in that third quarter.
Well, they didn't get really good looks at the basket, Mike, and also they could not get into the painted area. I liked how they came out in this timeout. Get it to Dirk in the middle of the floor, because then he can either drive right or left from the foul line area.
They left Paul free to Gennaro Pargo. One more pass. David West. He missed it. Rebounded by Terry, working with Brandon Bass, Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Kidd, and Josh Allen. Dirk a 3. Off the mark, Bonzi Wells with Paul, Pargo, Chandler, and West. Pargo. West trying to engulf the rebound, but it goes to Nowitzki.
Now remember, with this small unit out here now, with Pargo and Chris Paul in the backcourt, they'll shoot quick on the break.
Kidd missed it. Howard gets the rebound. But it's backcourt. Once Kidd picks it up, and it will be New Orleans ball. In the third quarter, Coach, New Orleans, no turnovers, shot 60% from the field, You see the deficit they erased, and look at Chris Paul's quarter, 7 of 11 from the field.
Chris Paul not only has the 26 points, the 8 assists, he has 4 steals. He leads the league in steals. He leads the league in assists. But the big thing about him is he shoots the good percentage, 48, 49% throughout the season.
This is his playoff debut. Bonzi attacks. Foul on Wells. Dick Bavetta had the call. Bonzi has 4 fouls.
Yeah, Bonzi's looking for help here right now. You're going to see it. You see the defender gets there, and Bonzi catches him with that left shoulder. The defender took away the area, and then Bonzi just leaned in.
Nowitzki's going to come to the bench now with 29 points for Dallas, and Devin George will replace him.
Dallas is staying in this game and keeping the game close. They've been to the line 30 times. They're 26 for 30, 87%. At the other end, 13 foul shot opportunities for New Orleans.
Louisiana native Brandon Bass missed it. David West able to corral the rebound for the 6th time tonight. To Chandler.
Nice. They have been getting lost on that roll man. Chandler set the screen that time, and as soon as the center stepped out on Chris Paul, he was looking right for the lob.
Devin George says, hang on, Jason. Terry, I got a pick for you. Yeah, West with the hard switch.
Yeah, that Terry. See, he loves to turn that corner right in that area, Mike.
That's why it's good scouting. Good job by West not to give him that. 2 to shoot. 1 to shoot. Bass has no clue. Devin George didn't get it.
Got to push. You got an advantage here.
After Chandler's 12th rebound, CP3 feeling it.
Yeah, that Brandon Bass is quick.
I like him.
Yeah, he gets back.
So is this guy. Timeout, Dallas. Chris Paul has taken this game over. .240 gone by. 4th quarter, the Mavericks' 12-point lead at the half is now a 6-point deficit. And in his playoff debut, 9 assists, 28 points on 13 of 20 from the field for the league's rising star, Chris Paul.
Mark Jones back in the studio. Bobby Jackson in the spotlight and in the midst of microphones because Houston's point guard now is Bobby Jackson getting the start for the injured Rafer Alston. Back to you guys, Mike.
Okay, Mark, Alston out game 1 and 2 in this West heavy with great point guards. Chris Paul has stolen the show. Just a reminder of what's happening in the East. TNT has 3 games to start tomorrow, and we wish our friends at TNT the best in their playoff run along with us. And Cavs-Wizards game 1, won by Cleveland earlier today, 93-86. They scored 11 of the last 13. Meantime, in the West, Lakers-Nuggets start tomorrow. Jazz-Rockets next. If you didn't see it, what a double overtime instant classic as the Spurs beat Phoenix by 2. Tim Duncan had 40, including the 28th three-pointer of his career, regular season and playoffs. Steve Nash hit an amazing shot. Ginobili hit the game winner on a runner with a couple of seconds left. An extraordinary opening day of the playoffs. 1 to shoot. Howard didn't get it off. Shot clock violation. Dallas coming a little unglued.
Right now, Josh Howard is not looking for a shot, Mike. He's 4 for 15 from the floor. Now, he's 8 for 9 from the line with 7 boards, but he's not looking because he doesn't feel he's in the groove.
He missed all 7 field goal attempts here, in the second half. Stojakovic back on the floor with 4 fouls. Paul and Pargo play the guards. Tyson Chandler, Bonzi Wells, and Wells wants it on Howard. Got it through Nowitzki. Chandler, put back. 8-point lead. They turned the halftime score around by 20.
Tyson Chandler, his 5th offensive rebound in this game.
And a double-double. 10 points, 13 rebounds. It'll be Nowitzki. Gennaro Pargo, Chicago native, undrafted out of Arkansas, with the rebound. The Mavs are 5 of 24 from the field in this half. Paul gets the foul.
Now, Dallas has moved Devin George onto Chris Paul, size-wise, 6'7", 6'8". Now just keep an eye right here. This is a strong move, up and in. Now we told you he's first in the league at 4.2 a game over the season, and then today, 5. And we told you at the top, they needed a big rebounding game from him today.
Avery Johnson has Jason Kidd on the bench for a couple of minutes. 29 in the playoff debut for Chris Paul. Eight minutes, game 1.
Yeah, with this group out here right now, it's basically two-man. They love two-man with Terry and Nowitzki.
Four to shoot. Howard doesn't want to. Might have to. Foul on Paul.
Yeah, they bailed him out. Bonzi bailed him out by reaching in that time.
You're right. It was Bonzi, and that's his fifth.
Right.
Fifth on Wells, first on the team in the quarter. Each team has one team foul in the fourth. Jason Kidd coming back in. And we'll see if Wells will take those 5 fouls to the bench. And David West will check in. Nice hand for Wells as he checks out.
Well, Bonzi's been solid, not only with the 8 points, but with the 5 rebounds, and the fact that he's done a nice job in the rotations. This group out on the floor, they're playing the pick and roll high and the pick and spot up. They're switching out, trapping, forcing them wide, and then if they do need a rotation, the rotation guy is there.
Kidd back in, 8 on the clock. The double comes to Nowitzki. Howard to the glass. Missed another one. He's 0 of 8.5. The Mavericks have 2 points in the first 4.5 of this fourth quarter. The offense has shut down. Pargo. Good job by Josh Howard to hustle in there and get the miss. Terry and Nowitzki ahead. Kidd sees Terry for 3. Saved by West. 7 minutes to go.
See him there.
Oh, Paul to West. And 1.
You could see that at half court. As Chris Paul crossed half court, he looked to his left and he saw West running in that left lane. He continued his dribble, see, he kicks him in. He now makes the defensive guy play him, and there it is, right on the money.
This is the same game from the first half, right?
It's the same game.
My goodness.
At the top, we said that in the 2 wins in this building over Dallas, Chris Paul scored over 30 in both games and averaged 12 assists. He's there.
Yep.
And at the end of the first half, you would say Dallas really had him under control. And they did.
That is a 10-0 run. The Mavs haven't scored in 440, and they're in a 12-point hole. That was their halftime lead, a dozen. Kidd slipped it to Dampier. Off the Mavs, 13 to shoot. Boy, New Orleans is so quick in all their motion and their rotation in the second half.
Well, Pargo gives you another quick guy out there. You have Chris Paul, now you bring in Pargo, and I like what Byron Scott is doing here. Pargo is on Jason Kidd. That relieves a little bit of the pressure, and that puts Chris Paul on Jerry Stackhouse.
Stack 0 for 7 tonight. Finally breaks the seal.
Well, they needed to, in this game, Jason Terry and Stackhouse to get going. Now, before the last timeout, they were only 2 for 11 in this game. But these are 2 people that are going to score the ball in this series.
And you're looking out on the floor, and there are 5 Dallas Mavericks who have played significant minutes in the NBA Finals, so they're not afraid of coming back from a deficit. Pargo inside, needs help, has West. And a whistle and a foul on the pass on Dampier.
In the second half, I thought that New Orleans, their passing game has been beautiful in the painted area. They make the extra pass, and they're finding people, and unfortunately for them, they're shooting a higher average, where in the first half they struggled.
The foul on Dampier was his 5th. Let me remind you that Darren Williams takes the floor with the Utah Jazz. Okur, Kirilenko, and the rest of the Jazz set to take on the Rockets. Game 1 of that Western Conference opening round 4-5 matchup. Coming up next here on ESPN, Dan Shulman, Dorisburg, Courtside Toyota Center. They'll have that for you. Jazz are the 4 seed, but Houston, because they have a better record, has home floor. Pargo missed the 3. Chandler the slap.
Right now they're coming with the trap. They're going to get him to give up the ball. It's like a matchup zone right now. They play you man-to-man, and then every so often they'll run and they'll go for an out-and-out trap.
Makes Pargo so huge in this series, that other ball handler on the floor. Will slip pass to West. Kid gets the rebound, 5:45 to go. The Mavs have 4 points in the quarter. Nowitzki, foul, other way, on Dallas. Stackhouse calls for the illegal screen. Timeout in New Orleans. The Hornets trailed by 12 at the half. They lead by 10 and charged to take the floor the Houston Rockets. Their game 1 coming up next on the opening night of the NBA playoffs 2008.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade.
Nice night in New Orleans. First home NBA playoff game here in 4 years, and the Hornets have erased a 12-point halftime deficit to lead by 10. Let's take a look at tonight's game track presented by GMC. Don't blame Nowitzki, 15 in the first half, 14 in this half. Dirk has 29 to pace the Mavericks. Chris Paul, after a little bit of a slow first half, been great. 29, 10 assists, and only 1 turnover, playing 36 minutes of the 42 played. And Hubie Brown, Dallas has hit only 6 field goals in 18 minutes of the second half.
Well, you can see they're not getting good looks at the basket. And then even down inside, when they do get the offensive rebound, they're still not being able to convert. But the amazing stat to me in this half, New Orleans has scored 46 points in this half with only 1 turnover, and it was an offensive foul.
Chris Paul, 31 points in his playoff debut. Where can Dallas get some quick points? Nowitzki well defended by West. Paul cleans up the garbage, fouled by Nowitzki, and a hard foul as well.
When you look at the Dallas offense, Mike, this whole half, everything is screen and roll, screen and pop, all out at the top of the circle. They have gone away from any movement down inside, 0 posting up, which you know that they can take advantage of New Orleans. They've gone away from what they did in that first half.
The MVP of 07 fouls the guy who's going to be first or second in all likelihood in the MVP voting of 08. And one word described that replay: frustration. Dallas is fed up. They look like a completely different team in this second half. Chandler, another rebound.
Get it out, run the clock.
7 offensive boards, 15 for the game to go with 10 points. And I know people in Chicago are sitting saying, is this the same guy who was with the Bulls? Yes, it is. His confidence has soared this year. Peja Stojakovic. A 3! Toe on the tape, 2. It's a brick. Stojakovic the rebound. 4 minutes to go. And the Hornets might make this a blowout. My goodness.
They have struggled in their three-point shooting. Stojakovic has made 3, and they're 3 for 14 when you think about it, and that's a major part of their game. We have not seen them on fire.
Pargo, 3. Nowitzki the rebound. Dirk has been solid. It's a double-double now for Nowitzki with 10 boards. Stacked to the rack. It's fouled by Pargo. And Jerry hit the deck hard. Remember, he's coming off that groin injury, a strain. He missed 7 games. Took that awkward fall. Stojakovic knocks down the 3. And you know the fans in New Orleans not afraid to get into a costume. Here's this guy with a larger-than-life Peja on a stick. A PTI wannabe in the house. Stackhouse at the line for the first time tonight. And here's Lisa Salters.
Well, Mike, during that last break, Avery Johnson trying to keep his team in this. He said the game is still ours, but we've got to get stops and we've got to rebound. So far, the Mavericks don't seem to be doing a lot of either one of those things. He also said we got to get some points, but let's get our three-point plays going to the basket. Unless we have a wide-open three, I want you driving to the rim.
Dallas is only 4 of 17 shooting the deep three. This is what we saw in the game on Wednesday, where they picked up three-quarter court, got the ball out of Chris Paul's hands.
Well, at this time in the game, when you're up as many points as they are, they can run the clock, take valuable seconds off, and then go right here. Oh. Did he shoot that off at the end of the backcourt?
This is one of the best playoff debuts you'll ever see. Foul called on Paul.
Now keep an eye on the angle of this shot. He's got it all going today, Mike.
33 points, 10 assists, only 1 turnover in Chris Paul's playoff debut.
Just to show you that he's not a slacker at the other end of the floor. He has his 4 steals, by the way, also, where he led the league this year at 2.7 steals a game.
Stackhouse back at the line, adding points at the clock stop. The Hornets playoff record, you remember they are the Charlotte Hornets for the 90s, essentially. Glenn Rice had 39 against the Knicks in 97. This is a franchise that has never won a best-of-7 series going back to those Charlotte days. They lost the conference semifinals to Milwaukee in 2001, a 51-win season. That was the deepest they've gone in the playoffs. And remember, those series were best-of-5 in the first round. So they've never won a best-of-7 series in their franchise history. Inside of 3 minutes, the lead 13. Utah, Houston follows. Pargo runs into Nowitzki, and the foul is called. Mark Cuban wondering, where did that 12-point halftime lead go? T-Mac, you know the story in the first round. He had a very good series against the Jazz last year. They have to do even more. Game 1, Jazz and Rockets next on ESPN.
A year ago, Darren Williams and the young Jazz knocked off the Rockets to advance to the second round of the playoffs. The rematch begins here tonight as Tracy McGrady tries to get out of the first round of the playoffs for the first time in his career. Game 1 coming up from Houston. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Dan Shulman, I'm glad you mentioned Darren Williams, because last year, Darren Williams was in the spot Chris Paul's in.
Right.
No playoff experience. How's he going to do? Utah got to the Western Finals, and we've seen Chris Paul really come along in this second half and carry this New Orleans team to their lead.
Well, not only with the points and the assists, then David West got it going. He's in his 20s. And then Chandler is doing what he's supposed to do. 15 rebounds and a bear on the offensive play. I like it. Their bench held off and played even the Dallas bench that doubled them during the course of 4 games during the regular season.
We have free throws coming here, UB, for Gennaro Pargo with New Orleans plus 13. And for those of you who might just be coming in, what a turnaround we've had. The Mavericks led by as many as 12, 7 after the quarter, 12 at the break. You see the 15-point second-half deficit they've faced. They've shot 20% in this half. Nowitzki and Howard combined for 13 in the first half, but only 16 in the second half. And Chris Paul is 22 of his 33 since halftime. Now, I don't want to indict Nowitzki. Look out, almost a turnover there as Paul pressures. I don't want to indict Nowitzki with Howard. Josh Howard has just disappeared offensively in this half. He's only scored 2 points on 0 of 8 from the field. Circus attempt by Kidd will bring Jason to the line. He has not scored and only has 2 assists and 2 boards in the second half.
When you look at the Dallas team, Mike, you know that their starting unit, they're looking for Howard and Nowitzki to be the big scorers and then Stackhouse to be the third guy. But then you expect Jason Terry to come off the bench and give you that shot in the arm. Well, he only has 5 points in this game. So he and Stackhouse have really suffered. They have not been able to get a lot of shot opportunities. So give the guards a lot of credit at the defensive end for New Orleans.
Kidd missed it, chased it down, so he has 9 rebounds. Terry, the 3 is off, and West gets the rebound, and it's a loose ball foul on Dallas that'll send it the other way for free throws for the Hornets. Game 2 of of this series comes on Tuesday. TNT will have that. We'll have Game 3 on ESPN Friday in Dallas, and then Sunday night on TNT will be Game 4 of this series. And then, if necessary, you see the days for Games 5, 6, and 7. That was on Nowitzki. West has the free throws.
I think when Dallas looks at their video after this game, they're going to question their strategy on Chris Paul in the second half. Sometimes it was very tough, hard traps, forcing him to get out to half court, to give up the basketball. But then the majority there, he was able to coast and go wherever he chose to go off the dribble. And then unfortunately for them, he has had a brilliant game of shooting. 15 for 23 from the floor.
15 and a half for David West. He has 23. 2:25 to go, and the lead is 15. Brandon Bass pitches to Kidd for 3. So Jason Kidd is a board and an assist away from a triple-double. He's second all-time in the history of the NBA playoffs with 11 triple-doubles. Magic Johnson had 30.
Take the traps, make the diagonal passes, and then give it up. And then once you go strong to the basket. That was a difficult pass because you could see that the passing lane was not there. Chandler had already made his move to the front of the rim.
It's going to be a foul on David West, I believe, with Nowitzki. West has got his finger right in Nowitzki's face, saying, "Don't you tell me." And we're going to get a technical foul call here. Let's see if this is on West. Well, this is important. Now, the Hornets, I believe, with that last foul are over the limit. It's going to be double technical on both Nowitzki and West.
An NBA game, you have 1 minute and 53 seconds to go. Now just keep an eye on here. We're going to try to show you the contact. You can see it up at the top there, and where West and Nowitzki. Now once that happened, West closes the gap and gets in Nowitzki's face. Now he's not going to back away from him. He's going to listen to what he has to say. I'm glad that Joe Forte, the referee, jumped right in, hit him with double technicals.
And the conversation continued after the technical. Nowitzki said, "A finger wagging in my face. That should be just a technical on him." Oh, he touched it. He touched his face. And the question is, what did Nowitzki do to earn the double technical? Didn't look like there was anything there, but again, we're not hearing it. So the double tech is no free throws. The personal foul involved going to bring Nowitzki to the line here for 2, and it can make it a 10-point game with 1:53 to go.
And that's plenty of time. Yep. Plenty of time here. The main thing for Dallas is that they got to get up here and create some turnovers. Now you can go with the traps, but when you trap, you have to trap again, and then when you come back, you just can't fall back and allow them to run the full 24 seconds.
All right, it's 10 with $1:53 to go. Let's see where Dallas picks up. Oh, near steal by Terry, who knocked it out of bounds last. Pargo will not have the baseline to move on this inbounds.
The offensive player has got to come and meet the pass. He cannot stand still and allow the defensive player to shoot the passing lane.
Well, what do they always say? The hardest game to win in a series is Game 4, and a group without playoff experience has to learn to close a game out.
That's right. You have to close out here now and then get good passing lanes. Because once you make that next pass over the top of the trap, you want to be able to attack the basket.
And Kidd gives the foul on Chris Paul. You think Chris Paul's playoff debut is good? The most by a player in his debut, Super John Williamson. 1979 for the New Jersey Nets, scored 38. Paul has 33 tonight. Make it 34. It's the most points in a playoff debut, Hubie, since LeBron James had 32. Remember, he had that triple-double to open the playoffs on the opening game of the playoffs 2 years ago against Washington.
Super John, a great name out of the past.
Oh, gosh.
Great player in the ABA for the New York Nets.
Lead back to 12. $1:30 to go. It's booted away. Stojakovic takes it away. Good use of the dribble by Paul to get it across midcourt. They'll get it out of his hands with the double. Right to Pargo. Oh, Asia. Why not? Good night. See you for Game 2 with the home team up 1-0. Quick timeout, 20-second timeout. The Hornets have scored 61 in the second half. double figures. Peja Stojakovic, he did not have a good start to the game, but he's hit 2 big three-pointers. And Mark Cuban and the Mavericks will fly back to Dallas after this game. It's a short flight. They'll be back home by midnight Central Time. But they'll fly back down 1-0 in all likelihood in this best of 7. Tyronn Lue, Juwan Howard, and Devin Georges come on as Nowitzki and Kidd will call tonight. So Kidd's important assist shy of the triple-double. Nowitzki had a very good game, 31 points. But the rest of the crew at 55, that's not enough. The veteran Lue played in the NBA Finals, fake the 3. George comes baseline, blocked by West, 5 to shoot. And the Hornets will clear the bench, and we'll let you listen to the ovation for the starters. You have to go back to that opening round series against Miami in the 2003-2004 season to find the last time New Orleans won a home playoff game. It was Game 6, May 2 of 2004. So it has been nearly 4 years since an NBA home victory in the playoffs has been notched by a team from New Orleans. Fargo and Juwan Howard gives the hard foul. 47 seconds left. Hubie, how important will Carlos Boozer be in that Utah-Houston series coming up next?
Mike, he's had a sensational year, one of 4 guys with a 2010, and also he's their major presence down and low. He gets to the foul line. He puts a lot of pressure on you. And then if you double team big man, Okor steps out, they get you with the perimeter game.
Fargo at the line. So tell me if you're Avery Johnson and you're thinking about Game 2 of this series on Tuesday night. TNT will have it. It's an early start here in New Orleans and Dallas, 6 Central Time, 7 Eastern. Where do the Mavericks need to generate more to get even in this series?
Well, I think they have to step back and look and say, okay, Nowitzki had a great half. A great game. Kidd made a solid contribution, but we got to get Josh Howard going. He had good looks at the basket, but 4 for 16 doesn't get it done. They must step back and look and question of how they're going to play Chris Paul in this building, because it's 3 for 3 now where he gets over 30 points.
Stackhouse has hit a couple of field goals here after a very slow start. It's 102-92. Ryan Bowen with the catch, working with Hilton Armstrong and Fargo and Morris Peterson. And a foul as Bowen attacked the basket.
Mike, we made a good point, and you brought it out in that 4th quarter. You said, what's happened to the Dallas offense? Because at the end of 3 quarters, they were at the foul line 30 times. You do 30 for a game. That's fantastic. Up until about 2.5 minutes to go, they only attempted 1 foul shot in the quarter. So you say, well, what happened? Well, everything went perimeter. I thought that New Orleans did an excellent job from the foul line down, keeping them wide, but everything was high screen and pop, forcing the jump shots rather than get down into the paint, where their movement was very effective and their posting up was effective.
Bowen knocks down the free throws. It is 64-40 New Orleans on the score sheet in the second half. The regular season was so good from the All-Star break on. I did not think the playoffs could live up to it, but we have had 3 stuck-in-your-seat games. It's just a joy to watch these first 3 games. 1 more to follow and 4 more tomorrow. Fargo has it knocked away by George. And we still have the Lakers and Denver and the Pistons and the Celtics and the Orlando Magic among the teams to get going tomorrow. Detroit, Philly, Toronto, Orlando in those series. Peterson will hang on. And for the first time in 4 years, the Hornets win a playoff game here in New Orleans. Down 12 at the half, they won by 12. And Chris Paul with one of the best playoff debuts in NBA history. 35 points, 10 assists, 1 turnover, and this interview with Lisa Salters.
Thanks, Mike. Chris, I'm sure you dreamt about how you would do in this first playoff game. How did your performance tonight even compare?
Well, we won. We won. That's all I care about right now. I was real nervous coming into the game, but early in the first quarter, my coach just told me to just play and have fun.
Now, in that third quarter, you came out like a man possessed. What was the difference for you in the second half?
Well, we were down 12 going into halftime, and we felt like we weren't playing our style of game. So I knew I had to come out, be a little bit more aggressive. Shots started falling, and we started defending.
All right, thanks a lot, and congratulations.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Game 2 Tuesday on TNT. Game 3 Friday in Dallas on ESPN. With Hall of Famer Hubie Brown and Lisa Salters, Mike Tirico. There's more for you on ESPN.com. Full recap of tonight's game. New Orleans wins Game 1 by 12. Now to Houston, Game 1 of the Jazz and Rockets with Doris Burke and Heather Cox. Here's Dan Schulman.